All right, so today we have to talk more about the hospitals. And again, you're constantly hearing all this propaganda about how the hospitals are overwhelmed. You know, we gotta lock everything down endlessly because the hospitals are overwhelmed. When in reality, the government's own numbers show that that isn't the case. There is a very small amount of hospitals that have been at capacity, but again, the thing that the hospital people, for lack of a better way of putting it, don't tell you is that it is normal for hospitals to be running at capacity this time of year. And that's something that really bothers me about these people and shows that either they have no idea what they're talking about or they're misleading people, right? Because again, like I was talking to one of these guys that claimed to have worked in a hospital the other day, and they're like, oh, um, come in and I'll show you how overwhelmed they are. And again, like at no point did they acknowledge that we had, or did they acknowledge that we had the ability to radically increase capacity. Again, according to them, it's impossible to increase the capacity. It's not possible, right? Even though according to the government it is possible. And again, number two, they don't tell you the fact that it's normal for hospitals to be at capacity this year, right? And again, if the hospitals are so overwhelmed, then why isn't all-cause mortality gone way up this year? Okay, so again, there's no data that show that as a whole the hospitals are overwhelmed. So getting to the point here, this is from the Guardian, and again, these are all real headlines from Legendary Energy saying, and again, these are headlines going back whatever 8 years, one at least one every year, about how the NHS, the hospitals are overwhelmed, and all this garbage about how all the hospitals are overwhelmed and overstretched. Again, this is not a problem of the virus. The virus has nothing to do with, or very little to do with this whole situation. This has everything to do with, um, like the UK and like Canada, we have socialized systems. And I think Canada's even more socialized. But um, the problem with the hospitals is that dumb people run them. And again, they're not all dumb, but enough of them are that it's very worrying. And number two, because it's a socialist system, there's every incentive in the books to not do a good job. Again, there's every incentive in the book to not do a good job. Because again, in a socialist system, if something's not working, well, what's the solution? It's always, throw more money at it. Throw more money at it. It's never, take a step back and maybe think that the people that are running things aren't doing a good job. No, that's never allowed. That's never allowed, right? So again, this is the problem. And again, these people that are running these hospitals, they know that if any problem comes up, the solution must be up more money, right? We need more money, right? So again, this is why I don't trust the hospitals are overwhelmed for 1 second. And here's the thing: that another analogy here too is it's the classic boy who cried wolf scenario. They've been yelling and screaming at the top of their lungs that the hospitals are going to be overwhelmed for almost a year now, going back to March, and at no point have they been overwhelmed. So what makes you think that they're going to be now, right? Now, the reason that they get away with making these claims is that they just keep moving the goalposts, right? They just keep moving the goalposts. They just keep creating fake new things to make people paranoid about. Now it's this new strain. Oh, the new strain is going to kill us all. Even though anybody who has a half a brain about this whole situation knows that viruses mutate. That is a normal thing. And usually, if the government doesn't completely screw things up, usually viruses mutate and make themselves less deadly. Because again, if they constantly mutated and made themselves more deadly, then we'd probably all be dead because of the Black Plague and the Spanish flu and the ones that actually were legitimate threats to society, right? So again, like the problem here is these people have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. And again, when it comes to these doctors and these healthcare workers, I think a lot of them, I mean, the people at the top are just taking the marching orders, right? They're taking the marching orders, and that, you got to constantly spew out the same propaganda over and over again. And the average everyday person, they've been told the lie so much that they believe it. Like they've been told the lie so much that they believe it. At what point have they provided us definitive data on this that the hospitals are overwhelmed? Where are the videos and the pictures of people dying in hallways? We haven't seen any of that. But yet I've seen plenty of videos of people going into hospitals that are supposedly overwhelmed, and they're quiet. There's nobody there, hardly anybody there. So again, they are lying to people, or at the very least grossly misleading people. And again, that's not a debate on that. Like, that's really not a debate on that. Now again, is there some hospitals that are at capacity or maybe a little above capacity? Yes, but that is perfectly normal for this time of year. And any healthcare worker who isn't aware of that, well, again, you really know hardly anything about your own industry. Like, that's kind of embarrassing. The next thing I wanted to bring up here is from Global Newswire, saying Colorado data shows no link between gym attendance and you know what cases. Saying a new study conducted by the Oregon Consulting Group that through data collected by the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment found that visiting health clubs pose very low risk of you know what transmission. The analysis confirms that health clubs have been communicating with their data. Gyms have one of the lowest transmission rates of all industries. Um, Researchers compared 32 weeks of Colorado gym attendance data representing nearly 8.5 million check-ins to publicly available you know what. In their study, they discovered no correlation between you know what case rates and gym attendance. They found no association to traditional gyms or fitness centers of the 59 different outbreak locations Colorado officials identified for more than 9,700 cases. A similar analysis of contact tracing out of New York State discovered that gyms accounted for a low 0.06 percentage of infections, one of the lowest of any business sector in the state, according to. Um, as such, Governor Cuomo eased capacity restrictions on gyms again. So this is something that makes absolutely no sense. Like, and this is the reason why this has nothing to do with the virus. Like, for all of the zealots out there who want to still keep complaining about the virus, if you're going to complain about the virus, but you want to shut down things that clearly aren't having an effect on the spread, you're just admitting that you're a zealot, right? You are a paranoid, delusional zealot. And again, I don't mean to be mean to people, but again, we're past the point of being worried about people's feelings, right? The minute you want to destroy other people's livelihoods, you have crossed a line, right? You have crossed a line at that point. So again, like, gyms are accounting for 0.06 percentage of infections, but yeah, we closed down gyms, like in Alberta, and I think they're closed in Ontario as well. I don't know about the other provinces, but again, it makes no sense. Like, why are we doing it? Why are we doing it? Again, Jason Kenney claims to be so worried about small businesses, but yet he shuts down. I mean, how many trainers out there that have their own small business that train a handful of people, and that's how they make their living? How many people have local gyms that got shut down for no reason? Yeah, there is some big box stores, but again, a lot of those small business trainers, they train their clients there. So again, like, this whole situation makes no sense, and this is the reason why I consider people that still support these measures borderline insane. Borderline insane, because again, if you want to be paranoid about the virus, again, you're completely wrong. There's no reasoning behind it. Um, but nonetheless, if you want to do it, we have to direct our restrictions at what's actually causing the spread. And this is the reason why that nobody actually really cares about this whole situation in the end. Nobody really cares. The politicians are just using it as an excuse to grab power, and that and the power grab is more government, right? That's what the goal is here. That's what the goal is. So um, anyway, the next thing I wanted to bring up is from Michelle Malkin, saying, men, you might want to read the last line of this article before you roll up your sleeves for the jab. And again, it says, to protect fertility, some men may want to consider freezing their sperm prior to vaccination. Now again, I've brought up before, like, people who want to get these vaccines are borderline insane, if you ask me. And for the simple reason that I actually have some data to back up my opinions. The people that support these vaccines, they really have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. And the simple reason being is that you would ask these people, number one, they would have no idea why they have no idea why the people that don't want to get the vaccines don't want to get the vaccines. They've spent literally zero time on the issue. And the time that they have spent is just the mainstream media spewing propaganda at them, right? The time that they have spent is just the mainstream media spewing propaganda endlessly at them. And that, I mean, number one, there's stuff like, and this is the thing, this is the reason why these people are insane. Because if you ask them the question of, okay, you know, you support getting the vaccine, okay, well, what would it take for you to not want to get the vaccine? And if they actually answered that question honestly, stuff like this would be one of their answers. Stuff like, you know, the vaccine companies aren't liable for any damages done. Something like there's, you know, hundreds of billions, maybe even trillions of dollars in profit expected to be made off these vaccines, right? The vaccines have been rushed to market, right? Again, like to call these vaccines, you know, a conflict of interest, you know, to get done this soon is borderline insane. I mean, not like again, like there's so many reasons to not want to get these vaccines. I don't even think that um, it's possible to overstate just how ignorant one has to be to want to get these vaccines, right? And not to mention, too, you have tons of healthcare workers who aren't getting them. There's even talk in a lot of areas of considering paying people to get the vaccine. Again, if it's so great, then why would you have to pay people to get it? Again, it makes absolutely no sense. So, again, personally, unless I'm, you know, forced at the point of a gun, I'm not getting the vaccine, and I don't see why anybody else would want to. It makes no sense, right? It makes no sense. And the last thing I wanted to bring up here is from David Yeager saying, while Canadians see our oil gas industry as a problem, the rest of the world keeps drilling. And again, this is something I pointed out a lot before. I just wanted to bring up that again, the myth of the world is going away from oil and gas. We should get ahead of the curve. That's really complete BS. That's really complete BS. Now again, the reason that is true to a small extent, I guess I would acknowledge, but the reason why is that places like Canada are basically regulating the oil and gas industry out of existence. If the regulations were reasonable, we wouldn't be going towards wind and solar. Wind and solar is still incredibly inferior, right? People don't even come close to realizing that, right? Um, and again, I don't want to get into all the reasoning because that would take forever. But again, like we are shooting ourselves in the foot. We are causing ourselves self-inflicted wounds for no reason whatsoever. And it makes no sense. But again, the reality behind the renewable push, behind the climate change push is socialism, right? The real goal isn't caring about the environment. The real goal is socialism. And that's something that these people want. That's why the climate zealots ignore all the contradictions behind their worldview, and that's why they just keep going forward with it. Like ignore the fact that the carbon tax doesn't work, right? Just for you know off the top of my head, all that kind of stuff, right? That's why they do that again because the goal is socialism, and they're using climate change as an excuse to do that, right? So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today. If you liked the video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you check out those links below. Follow me on those other platforms if you haven't already. You can donate if you want to do that as well. Again, I appreciate whatever support I can get. But like I say, check out those links. Have a good day and stay tuned for more.